Val Allen. I'm a technical specialist at DirecTV. I work in field operations in the lab in Denver. I work with in support of all the technicians across the country. We do a lot of testing in the lab. We test meters, we test multi-switches, we test different versions of software. And typically what happens is, for us in Denver, we'll get issues that come across to us from all over the country, and what we try and do is mirror the exact same problem that the customer is having at their house, including the same wiring scenario that they have. So we ask them, well, how long is your cable run? What type of multi-switch are you using? What's the version of software? What dish are you using? What manufacturer is that dish? We can mirror that exactly in the lab and see if we can duplicate the problem and see if we can validate the problem. That's what I do in a nutshell. We have all types of equipment in the lab that we use to simulate equipment. We get samples from all the different manufacturers that companies will submit to try and get approval on. But we have all the different manufacturers of multi-switches, all the different manufacturers of the dishes, back assemblies, all the different mounts. We get all the satellite meters are there, the latest software, so we can pretty much duplicate any problem that the technicians have out there. We ask them, are you using a swim system? Well, what type of splitter are you using? What type of power inserter are you using? We're able to duplicate that and then validate whatever issues they have. Once I validate that there's a problem with a piece of equipment, what I'll do is I'll do a write-up on it. I'll usually escalate that to engineering and try and get them involved, and then try and get them to also duplicate the problem, and then work with them to get a resolution fixed. And sometimes it's a temporary resolution, but sometimes we can get something pushed in, let's say, in the next version of software. For instance, we just recently had a problem with the Dash 100 products with activation, so we had to go back and we were able to validate that. We had a problem with attenuation where actually signal was coming in too hot to the receivers, and we had a temporary workaround where we were inputting additional attenuation in the line to get them activated. That problem has been fixed in software and just came out a couple weeks ago. So I work in the lab. I have two counterparts with me in the lab, Greg Rowe and Harvey Dunn, and we are responsible for writing technical documentation. We do that. I actually run the forum, the installer forum website also. For anyone who hasn't been there, that's a really valuable resource. There I post job aids there and tech tips. So the web address of the technician forums is just forums.directv.com. It's the last subsection on the page. You'll see installer forums, and when you click into there, you'll see further subsections there that actually say for installers, customer affecting issues, wild blue, service call tips, custom install tips, and general discussion. Customer affecting issues, that's a really good subsection because that's where I put all the blast facts, tech tips, equipment alerts. If there's any broadcast issues, you'll also see that in there, and then when those problems get resolved, I also post the resolution in there also. I do monitor the technician site. I'm the moderator on there, so I'm in there every day. Any new issues that are posted, I actually get immediate notification on that through my BlackBerry, so I'm able to respond right away. The forums are public. Everyone has access to the site. They're meant for technicians. That's who's going to really pull the most value off of those forums, are people technicians doing installs, whether they're dealers or HSPs or in our owned and operated group. That's who's really going to pull the most use out of these forums. All the forum sections are all technical in nature, so you'll see issues there with remote controls, with on-demand, with the iPhone app. Those are meant for customers, but technicians can certainly go in there also and find the solution to just about any problem if you just look in the forums to try and find that information. We go to the field all the time, talk to techs. We try and get feedback on the equipment, what's wrong with it, what can we do to improve it, do a lot of time and motion studies. We do QCs. We have our own DirecTV van that we go out to the field with. I like to ride with the technicians in their van. If they've got an open seat for me, I'll go out with the technicians and just talk to them on the way to a customer.